To a Hollywood murder case now that's taken a pretty eye-popping twist. The son of director Rob Reiner is now trying to get access to the trust fund his mom and dad left him so that he can defend himself against the charges that he killed them. So let me say that again. Nick Reiner wants the money to pay for his legal bills after being accused of murdering his parents. His attorneys filed that petition today, saying that he has not been able to get access to this trust for 2 years. He's apparently titled to $1.5 million. They say, given the circumstances, it's actually an abuse for him to not get that money. They write that Nick is currently awaiting trial on double homicide charges. No use of his funds could be more important. Reiner has pleaded not guilty to the murder of his parents, Rob and Michelle. Remember, they were found stabbed to death in a shocking scene back in December at their home. Let me bring in Misty Marris, who's joining us now. I think this is, surprising for folks to hear that Nick Reiner is now saying he wants access to his trust fund that was presumably put in place by his parents, right, to defend himself against charges that he killed them.
Yeah, so we make some legal differentiations between what he's seeking. So just the overall idea is that there's this thing called the Slayer Statute in California, and it says that you can't financially benefit from killing someone. Now, we know Nick Reiner has pled not guilty, and there's been no disposition. We haven't had a trial yet. But what Nick Reiner has done is he's made an argument that there's this irrevocable trust that was given to him by his parents, and all he has to do is reach that age of 30 years old and ultimately 35 to get all the money from the trust. And it's separate and apart from all of the other Reiner family assets. So he says he's entitled to this money. Forget the Slayer Statute. Forget anything else. He's entitled to it outright because he was supposed to get half when he was 30 years old.
Could his siblings, Reiner's siblings haven't responded to a request for comment, but could his siblings block that money if they wanted to?
So, Hallie, they're not a party to this case. This is against the trustee who oversees it, but I could see a world where they intervene on that basis, given that you have the criminal trial pending.
What about, I think people, if you don't remember, and this was obviously such huge news when it happened, Reiner was initially being repped by this big-time L.A. defense attorney, Hallie Jackson. He represented, you know, Karen Reed, Harvey Weinstein, et cetera. Jackson dropped the case, apparently because Reiner couldn't afford him anymore. In the petition, apparently Jackson said he'd be willing to come back if the money is made available. Does that factor into any decision-making on this?
So it doesn't necessarily factor into what the court will consider, but you can see why Nick Reiner is pushing for this. Because keep in mind, Hallie Jackson, high-profile defense attorney, but you're not just talking about the legal representation. You're talking about the whole legal team. You're talking about access to experts. This is a case where there could be an aspect of mental health or an aspect of substance abuse. So those experts would be critical.
Misty Marris, thank you very much for breaking that down. Appreciate it.